Alright, CNT120, Chapter 6 Lab. We're at the last part about gathering our proof for submitting our lab. There's a couple steps here, so I want to make sure there was enough time to do this in this podcast so we didn't hurry. So we're going to grab a couple things this time to show all the pieces that we've done. Setting up the router, setting up the workstations, getting the workstations connectivity, and so forth. So, alright. First thing we're going to do is on our desktop PC, we're going to browse back into our home router, small office, home office router that's here. So I'm going to open up my PC, go to the desktop that's here. I'm going to use my browser. I'm going to browse back into that. And I'm going to gather one or two results from here to show that we have this configured and up and running. So I'm going to use my 192.168.0.1, that gateway address, admin, and I'm going to make this large enough so I can see everything that I need to here. And I want to grab proof of the status tab to make sure the router tab is selected. Okay, so I'm going to go the status tab here. I'm going to go way over here to status. And I'm going to make sure the router tab is selected. Okay, that one right there, not local network or this one, just the router tab. And I want to grab a picture of this page because this shows connected to the ISP and your DHCP connection, connected to the ISP, getting an IP from the ISP, and your router is connected up and connected in the network. So what I'll do is, if you're using Windows, you can use like your snipping tool here. That's what I'm going to use. Use a snipping tool. If you're on Apple, you can use your screenshot, Command-Shift F4, and grab a screenshot of this. I'm going to grab my snipping tool here, and I'm going to grab this whole thing right here. And this will show my router configuration. And this snipping tool allows me to save this. So I'm going to do a save, and I'm going to point it to, I have a 120 folder for, here's my Chapter 6 Lab. And I'm going to give it a name of, let's call this Chapter 6 Lab Router Config. So let's do 120 Chapter 6 Lab. This is my router config, and that shows the router is connected and configured and running. And we can just leave that as a PNG, JPEG, or PDF. Any one of those are fine. Any one of those are readable on D2L. And then I'll close my snipping tool there. I'm now going to grab a screenshot of the wireless config. So on this same status page, I'll come over here to wireless network. And this will now show these that I have set up, the 2.4 and the 5 gigahertz bands that I have set up. I don't need all this down here. I just want to have these right here, the wireless 2.4 and the 5, showing your SSIDs and security that you set up. So again, I'll open up my snipping tool here, and I'll grab a new screenshot here. I really just want to see these here, the 2.4 and the 5. And I'll save this again. I'll point this to my same folder, my 6 Lab. And I think we're calling this guy the wireless config. 120 Chapter 6 Lab. 20 Chapter 6 Lab. And we're calling this wireless config, because this shows all the SSIDs and security and everything that you set up. Alright, so I got those two. I can now close this browser. I do not need this guy open anymore, so I can close that. I can even close my desktop. And what I'm going to grab now is proof of my logical setup. So I'm actually going to go back to the logical tab that's here. Oop, an extra window popped up there. Okay. Out here on my logical tab, I'm going to quick put in here a note with my name, and then I'm going to actually do like a kind of like a print screen from here. There's a neat way we can do this. So I'm going to grab this little guy here, this little notepad, if you will. Actually, no, this one right here. There he is. Place note. Okay. I'm just going to put a note up here that says like CNT120, Chapter 6 Lab, and I'm going to put, in this case, Mr. Brown. You'll put your name, and I'm going to put Spring 2025. And this would almost be like documentation that we'd be creating. think about back in the Chapter 2 lab. Here is our network with all of our devices showing, and this is the ISP. If we almost take a picture of this, we have some documentation of our network setup, which is kind of what we're doing now. So I'm going to have you do a file print. So we'll come up here, we'll do a file print, and we'll then do a viewable logical topology, and we'll do a print to file. I think that's the option I have you do. Print to file. In this case, I'm actually going to browse to, you can browse to your desktop, but I'm going to browse to my 120 folder, back to my Chap6Lab, that way I can find it. And I'm going to give this a name of like wireless topology. Wireless topology. So let me get back to here. 120, Chap6Lab, wireless topology. And again, that's going to make it a PNG. That is fine. I will save that. And that should save that for me. Let me go back to my folder here. Here's my wireless topology. If I open that guy up, that should be basically kind of like a screenshot of my screen there, but it shows everything, which is kind of neat. It's a neat way to do that. If for any reason that process doesn't work, after you put your little note there, just take a screenshot of this main page here. That's fine. That'll work too. That's your little backup in case my file print is not working for you. All right. Now we're going to grab proof of our workstations actually connecting and working on the network. So we'll go back to, I'll click on my laptop 2.4 here. Okay. And I will go to my command prompt. I'm just going to hit the enter key so I have a whole bunch of clean space there. I'll do ipconfig, and I'm going to want the IP address that's here. And then I want a ping of, I think we're pinging the CNT.org, yeah. So we're going to do a ping www.cnt.org, showing that we're actually getting there. So I'm going to save that result. So let me get a notepad going here. It's rather large. I'll make him a little smaller. There we go. We'll call this CNT120, Chap6Lab. I'll put my name in here, Mr. Brown. And I will do this. This is my laptop 2.4 results. And I'm going to, I'll copy all this for right now, the IP config, and then my ping. I'll copy all that. I will paste it in here, but then I'm going to get rid of this Bluetooth. I don't need the Bluetooth information. So that'll show my IP config and then my ping. I'm going to save this to my same Chapter 6 folder. Save as. Let's go to my Chapter6Lab, and I'm giving it a name of Chapter6Lab laptops. There we go. So CNT, 120, Chapter6Lab laptops. And this shows the laptops are actually connected and working in the network. So now I'm going to do laptop 5. And that'll be the results then for the other one. And I'm going to do the same process for the other guy. Here was the 2.4. We will close him out. We'll go to the 5. Command prompt again. I'm going to hit the enter key a handful of times. Make sure I have clean space. IP config. And then I will do a ping of the Google server that I created. Google.com. And I will save all these results. Right click copy. Go to my notepad file. I'll paste those in, but again, I'll delete the Bluetooth. I don't need that info. And that should be my IP config and my ping for that guy. So we're seeing this one here, 101, and then the ping to the CNT.org. And we're seeing 102, and we're seeing the ping to Google.com. And we'll save that guy. All right. And that should be all the pieces we need. We'll have those 3 screenshots that we did, and then our results from our 2 laptops. So I'm going to save let me close this out. I'll save my packet tracer now that I know that's done. I'm going to minimize for now. And I'm going to go to my folder here. And here is my laptop's text file. There's the router config, wireless config, and the wireless topology. So these 4 files are going to get submitted this time. These 4 files will get submitted this time. The text file plus those 3 pictures that we did. The router config here. I'm going to open it up so we can see. There we go. Here's the router config that we had, showing the router settings. Here's the wireless config. This showed our SSIDs and security for the 2.4 and the 5. And then the topology showed kind of like basically our big network map, our big logical map with our little tag up there so we knew it was ours. And then last but not least, the text file here with our 2.4 laptop results and then the 5 laptop results. And there is our Chapter 6 lab. Make sure you get those in the Dropbox and you'll be in good shape.